I am leaving myself in the dark a little bit today. It's getting warm here, so I'm enjoying the cool blinds closed and all that goodness. Um, what I have to share, it might come through a little messy today, and I thought maybe I won't even post it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Because I was just refining this next phase. So I've been talking about the stagnant survivor, and I have 5 phases of places that people can get stuck when trying to reach manifestation or trying to reach their seat of the sorceress. So we've done stagnant survivor, and we've talked plenty about that. So go back and listen to the last 3 or 4 recordings or videos, and you can see what I have to say about those. Now, the next place is called the Inhibited Implementer. And these phases only relate if you are stuck in them. I am going to talk about just the creation phase in general. And if you're not stuck, cool. You might find you're stuck in this phase in another area of your life. That's a possibility as well. But what happens? So I talk about this. I think I said in my last video, like I found the system that I can apply over and over again for creation. And it follows the elements in the chakras, specifically the like Ayurvedic 5 elements: ether, air, fire, water, earth. And ether represents air, or excuse me, no. Ether represents space. So in stagnant survivor phase, if that's the one you're locked into, uh, that's where you clear the space. So you are setting, you're getting a blank canvas. You're clearing stuff out so that you can start fresh. And when you do that, it's very natural for new information, new impulses, new inspirations to come in. And like maybe you already had that, and that's why you were clearing your space in the first place. Or maybe you were just tired of being stuck somewhere and you're ready for something new. Either way, you start to clear the space, and the universe loves a vacuum. It's going to fill it in. So now you have new ideas coming in, you have new desires showing up. And part of the magic here is I've talked about this too. Energy is going to follow the path of least resistance. So when you clear your space because you're looking for something new, you want to make sure you're not refilling it with the thing that has the lowest resistance, which is probably the thing you just left. So this is where you start to start elevating your standards, choosing something new, choosing a different behavior or thought or whatever it is. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. You don't have to go figure that out. So there's this space that you've just created. And in that space, you get to explore desire. And again, you may have had a desire coming into this. That's why you cleared the space in the first place. The thing is, people, y'all, especially in like Western culture, they close the gap between awareness, which you just churned up a bunch of awareness if you're clearing the space along with me, and action. Okay. There's, they just close that space. So, like, as soon as you're aware, start acting. And no, no, no. I'm going to say what Bailey Sarian says. Nay, nay. Uh, there is a step in between. And so this step in flow, it's represented by the element of air. Air is, it's like mental energy and heart energy. It's both. And it's like this unconditional, all possibilities are available. You have this wide net, and there are a lot of options. There's a lot of potential. There's new information. Again, if you cleared the space well, like you're going to see things you weren't seeing before. And it's not your job yet to be like, okay, that's it. This is the answer. I'm doing this. If it naturally happens, cool. But especially if you're coming out of stagnant survivor, which is old, old, stale, stuck, could have been let go a long time ago type energy. Again, I'm going to say it. You don't want to rush this. And when I say rush, I mean like people want to just get there now. This is again like a few days. You're going to give yourself a few days. I told you in my Live in Your Vision class, these are the kinds of steps we went through. And in 2 months, people were living entirely new lives of their choosing. So if you just imagine that you can give yourself 2 months for this, that's a non-rushed, very fast way to like get your manifestations coming in, right? So each step, you don't have to rush it. You can just be in it. So ideally, and I was saying this in the last few videos as well, you have become aware of these things in your space. And it is in the awareness itself that it starts to clear. If you want to be intentional about it and like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore, or this is not welcome here anymore, that is available as well. That's not one of the like written steps that I have there, but you can absolutely do that. So new information starts coming in, new possibilities start coming in, and you want to be in play with them. So again, ideally, you're kind of hanging out in here. And this is not like the moment to get really serious. And again, I'm talking to myself because when I was doing my clearing my space, there's a lot of like control, like a desire to control. And that is not where I thrive. I rebel against that repeatedly. I rebel against it. So because my stuff is like related to body, there's like a desire to come in and like, okay, what can I control to make this happen? And that in my 46 years of living does not work for me. Some people respond well to that. If that works for you, great, do it. It doesn't work for me. So this is why this is one of the places that I'm stuck because that's like the most common option available. You need to count this. You need to do this. You need to set this up. Oh my God. That's exhausting. So I'm in this new space. And one, I want to speak to inspired action. So again, this is not force. This is not pushing myself into the next step. But I have had many inspired actions. And so I love that. I'm going to talk about that in another moment because I want them to, I'm still in play with them. But I'm also letting in new information. I'm letting in new possibilities. And I had one of my inspired actions yesterday was I just thought of this woman who, I mean, I've known of her for many years now. She's in the fasting world. When I have done fasting in my lifetime, it's been very effective and very good. When I try to get myself to fast now, that's when I start spinning out and going into my loops and whatever. It feels like control at this point in my life. Whereas when I did it before, it felt like moving toward desire. So that's what we're getting to. We want our actions that we will be setting up next to feel like they're moving toward desire. And so this time right now, this air element time where we're exploring possibilities or letting possibilities show up in our field, like this is a time where it is totally fine, it is totally functional to like research shit. What could I do? Like something new has awakened me, something old is, like it's not stuck anymore. Like, what can I do? How can I get myself there? And that's cool. That's part of the air element. Like do some research, get more information, find somebody that you haven't found before, or watch a video that you've never watched before. And like it's this wonderful interplay between I lost my train of thought. It's this wonderful interplay between inspiration, information, and inspired action. Information, inspiration, inspired action, and like letting all that kind of play out. And like air as an element moves side to side. And so let it feel like that. Like, okay, I'm exploring and like, here's this thing I tried. And, da 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 da. I realize when I think about fasting, it shuts me down and sends me into my old control loops. But when I think about this other thing, it lights me up and feels very doable and, blah, blah, blah. And so you're like creating a new shape, really. You're creating a new shape. You want to get out of your old shape. So that is like the flowing, alive version of this stage. Now, the inhibited implementer is the stuck version. And because it's between these places of like inspiration, information, inspired action, or just action, it can get stuck either coming into this phase or going out of this phase. And if you are coming out of stagnant survivor, you might get stuck here because you're trying to do things right. You might get a little perfectionistic. You might get a little paralyzed. You might be thinking about all the things you've tried before that didn't work. If you are like there, I know people that kind of default to this phase, like this is their natural kind of default place. And those people get stuck in like moving from here to taking action. So they get so cerebral, so intellectual about the process, and to the point that they will tell everybody else what they should be doing, that they're not doing themselves. And I mean, I've had this friend who she has worked for a multitude of business coaches over her years. And she and I would talk about business, which most of the time I enjoyed. And every once in a while, I would say something, and I was not asking for advice. I was not. When I ask for advice, I'm pretty clear about it. I'm like, could you please, like, what is your opinion about this? But I was just sharing my experience. And she would start to, it was so funny, like her voice would change and she would just start to rattle off, like, this is the thing to do. And I would hear her do that. And obviously she has information. Um, like she's been working for all these like highly successful people. But one, it's all stuff that I already know. And two, it's all stuff that she wasn't doing because she was in this, I mean, maybe still is kind of like in the same boat as me with business, where like it's got a little, it's going a little bit, but like we want it to ultimately support us. And she was no further along than I was. And I'm like, why are you telling me what I need to be doing right now? But it's that inhibited implementer. And I talked about this part at another point. When she did start taking her own advice, she then became overwhelmed. And I mean, that's like the underlying reason in both cases, really, is fear. It's fear that like what you choose will be wrong. So I have some notes. Let's take a look. All right. In what areas of your life, so just like the stagnant survivor, this does not mean this is who you are at all times or who you are in all areas of your life. We had oh, it's way far up. Our life wheel here where you can fill in the parts of your life that are interesting for you to work with right now. These are the ones I filled in. So, this is the one I'm focused on right now. I might find myself in another area of my life experiencing the inhibited implementer. So let's find out. All right. In what areas of your life or area do you experience endless preparation, where you prioritize learning over risk taking? So you might consume vast amounts of information, constantly researching, like I said, mistake understanding for progress. So, like in your mind, you've built out, this is if you've been here for a while, you may have built out, like if we're going to use business example, the entire company. You have an entire plan for how you're going to get the results that you want for your body. You have an entire business plan. You have, who you're going to hire, what you're going to do. And you've been imagining this for so long and you haven't done maybe any of it. Engage in planning protection. So that's what I was saying. Create elaborate plans, restructure routines, refine the map instead of actually walking the territory. Give brilliant advice to others that you find yourself unable or unwilling to take for yourself. And usually the thing that if this is if that one relates to you, like usually the thing you say to yourself is, well, I know exactly what to do. I'm not ready to do it yet. And that maybe is true, but if you're stuck, that's probably not what it is. Like I said, it's usually coming from fear. So general demeanor and energy, paralysis, perfectionism, borrowed momentum. So you might feel highly inspired and energized while learning or listening to others. But that energy fizzles when you're working alone and trying to actually take action. The observer, you find yourself occupying the role of the analyst, consultant, or mentor rather than being an active participant in the work. Trapped between knowing more than you're doing and doing less than you're capable of. Low grade guilt and restlessness stemming from the awareness that you should be doing more. Envy of others who are taking messy action and getting results from reality. Intellectual superiority. You may unconsciously look down on people taking action as simplistic or reckless, even while envying them. Core beliefs. I'm not ready yet, or I need more information. I need to know the right answer before I start. My problem is execution, not clarity, despite a deep underlying certainty about what you actually want or what results it might yield if you take action. The more you think, the less certain you become, leading to a state where you try to think your way into clarity rather than acting your way into it or getting into desire. So there's more. Let's see if I want to go through more. All right. So, yes, you recognize yourself in this phase if you find yourself explaining things that you haven't practiced, teaching concepts you haven't fully embodied, consuming information you already know or understand, looking for the missing insight when the missing piece is action. So when you have people, like if you've hired someone to help you with something and they're telling you what to do, and you're like, okay, I know that, I get that, but then you're just not ever doing it. Believing your problem is strategy when it's actually participation. Rehearsing future action instead of taking present action. Mistaking understanding for experience. Feeling like you've already done something because you've thought about it so extensively. Giving advice that you struggle to follow yourself. Continually refining ideas that have never been tested in reality. So, are you in your life somewhere the inhibited implementer? Now I am going to talk a little bit about my experience with this. So, I'm have I mentioned I love going through my journal? I love going through these steps. So, I got a lot of clarity through my tracking. I got a lot of awareness, and I also got to some desires. And I know I haven't fully gone over those in these videos, but I did mention like I was looking at the things that had been filling my space and then my desires and what's the difference. And when I imagined myself like, okay, I think I like one of them is an aesthetic. And I did want to talk about this too. So I have an awareness and it going through this process, I recognized it's deeper than I thought it was. That part of my body experience in my life is I so deeply reject the idea that I am a better person, I am a more virtuous person because I am in an acceptable body. I so deeply have rejected that idea in my life that I then ignore the body that I'm in and do not listen to my own desire for what I want because I'm rebelling against what other people think I should be rather than tuning to what I want. And so through this process, I realized that that is, again, that's deeper in me than I thought it was. I already knew it was there. And then I was like, so these are my kind of awarenesses over the past few days. This is me and the air element, like these new, I've cleared some space. Like, here's what's coming up in this space. I do want to feel satisfied. That is, I mean, that's like a baseline must have. And if I don't, I will find a way, even if it's a less than desirable way for my other desires. I realized that I was just kind of writing these out and I was like, I want to be attracted to myself. That's what I want. And that takes all of that energy and power away from rebelling against what other people think I should be or should look like. And it's beyond looks. That's just like a big one. But like, don't fucking tell me who you think I should be. Don't tell me what I should look like. Like my standards for myself have nothing to do with you, and you need to back away from me. And the idea of being attracted to myself feels so yummy, feels so gooey. It feels so flirty. And I just love it. And I love that it has nothing to do with anybody else. And I do love, like, I barely, until these last few days, like, barely look in the mirror. Um, I'm barely tuned to like what I look like. And but I love the idea of not just the idea, like when I have this experience in my life, I love when I look in the mirror and I see something like cute about myself, whether it's my collarbone or my eyebrows or what I'm wearing that day, or if my hair looks cute, or if my face shape looks cute or whatever. Like I love that. And just like catching a curve of myself in the mirror and like, oh, okay, all right. Um, and then when I started to tune to that over the last couple of days, I was like, it's not just visual. Like I become attracted to myself even more just through how I feel. So when I do certain types of movements, or yesterday I took Dina to this walk that we've done so many times. And yesterday, the endorphins were kicking in, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, this makes me attracted to myself. Like, I love this feeling. And just like even moving my hips a little bit differently while I was on that walk with nobody else around. It had nothing to do with anybody else. It was just for me. So that's one of the desires. Um, and the aesthetic is like, I love having an hourglass figure. I do. I don't have that right now. I love feeling really strong and toned, and that like makes me even more attracted to myself. I love like having a nice waist. And so that is something that I want, regardless of what anybody else wants for me, or even if it's parallel to what somebody else might think I should be. That really pisses me off if I mention that. But it is something I prefer. I don't require it to be attracted to myself. So this is like when I talk about these more quantum actions, like stepping into the frequency of it, like being attracted to myself is something I can do now. I can do like right now, right now. Like, what can I do right now to be more attracted to myself? The other one is more like a destination. And it's okay to have the destination, but I'm going to get there at quantum speeds through touching the frequency. So far, satisfaction and being attracted to myself. And so, as I already mentioned, because I have these, like, how do I control myself thoughts that come in, and those are the ones that spin me out. So they are not useful for me. They are not useful. I'm aware that they're there. Now that I've done my tracking, when they come up, I just like stop and I'm like, okay, whatever decision you were trying to make when it's being reflected through the lens of control, just stop trying to make that decision right now. Like, don't worry about it. And then yesterday, I picked up my phone, like I said, and I researched this woman that I've come across before, but I found some new videos of hers, and she was talking about these particular steps that a person can do to reach a desired result. And so when I go into the control thing, I'm no longer in my desire. It's not, I don't have access to it anymore. But when I was watching this video and taking note of these things, I was like, okay, this is a way for me to have the things that I have been having that feel like they support me and resource me still, and have them better. I can just have them in a better way, and in a way that like packages everything so that I can keep moving toward my desire. I'm not losing anything. And for whatever reason, in the state that I'm in at this time in my life, like losing something feels probably because I've given up a lot, like a lot on repeat over the last 7 years. Um, and I don't want to, like that feeling of losing something, just I don't want to. And so this adds things that take me closer to my desire, and they feel more caring and more nurturing than trying to give up something right now, or try to force myself into something, or trying to control something. So I love these things. I'm not going to tell you what they are yet because I'm still playing, right? I'm still in this in between inspired action, inspiration, information phase. But I did wake up today and I was like, my body's different. Hmm. And I like that. And I don't know if it's obvious to anybody else, but again, it's about me. I want to be attracted to me. But when I try to like get myself to research the old thing that has worked for me in the past, And I know would work for me again if I were in a place to start doing that right now. But it's not working for me at like an emotional and mental level. It's just going to send me back to my where I just was. And I'm not interested in that. So I don't currently feel inhibited in my implementation because I found these things that are new and like you really want to find something that's new. Even if you had have a renewed relationship with something you've done before, that's okay too. But you really want to find something new. Like you just cleared the space, you're moving into a new creation. Like, what can you do that's different? What can you do that is fresh? You want to give yourself some freshness, you know? So I found some freshness, but it did bring up all of this awareness of how easy it could be to get stuck there if I weren't connected to my desire. If I was just moving still from the place of not this, which was a stagnant survivor, not this, and then I try to force myself into something, but I wasn't ready for it, then that's a way to get stuck in this inhibited implementer. Like, well, let me keep researching, let me keep researching, let me keep researching, let me keep researching. And the answer there is you want to connect more deeply to your desire. And the way that you do that is you can keep clearing space. That's one way. It's going to reveal more. And then in the Embodied Law of Attraction journal, there is a section on the reaches of your imagination. So you can play in there, do some imagination exercises. And then there's also, again, all the emotional alchemy. So, and I'm going to do this for myself too. This isn't just a complete process in this moment, but all of this realization, you have now revealed things that you feel that have been keeping you in the cycles you've been in, and thought patterns and sensations and behaviors. And I mentioned this already in another video, but you get to just take those and like put them through this process, and it's going to start to show you your true desires. And when you get connected to your true desires, it's going to possibly be a little obvious, like what you should do. Also going to give you tools for that because that's part of what I'm doing here. But um, some of those things are going to start showing up and coming in. So if you're not getting that yet, if you're not getting clear on what to do that's right for you now, that feels like you're being pulled towards something rather than you're trying to shove yourself towards something, then track more and get into desire more. If you have become the bossy, inhibited implementer where you know everything and you have the full plan figured out, then your job is to take action. And it's going to be messy. And you should expect yourself to take some messy action. So, like on one side of it, it's don't act to or don't force yourself into action because you're new. You're new. You want to like play with a little more. See like what action might feel good and right and not right like right wrong, but just like again, moving like a plant moving toward the light. Like what action feels like that? And if you've been in that place for too long and it's too crystallized, the inhibited implementer, then you just got to take action. So again, this is the place between like realization and desire starting to churn and action. So if you're coming into it, more desire. If you're coming out of it, more action. So that's what to do in this inhibited implementer phase. I'm obviously going to come back and talk about it more as I move through it. and share my journey.